and sellers today are wanting to get the best prices in the least amount of time with the fewest hassles. So today we're going to talk about the October 2019 market real estate update. And the best part is we're going to kind of demystify some of the numbers that you're going to see coming out in the media. So my name, George Moorhead with Bentley Properties, and we have closed over 2,000 residential and commercial transactions. We've got some great metrics that we're going to be able to pass off to you today. And with that, if you could just let us know that you can hear us, give me a couple of little wows, maybe a couple of hearts. Let us know where you're at. We've been receiving some absolutely amazing feedback and questions from different clients and different folks that are out there. You know, we've been, our videos are being syndicated to over 13,000 different people every week, which is awesome. That means that we're doing something right. And with that, I was told I need to share a little bit about me because, well, people want to know more about me. So I thought, you know, what better way than to tell people a little bit about some of my friends and my humor and their humor. With that being said, I just had a birthday. Yes, I am on the upper side of, I guess, 50 now. And so with that, which is Halloween, best day to have a birthday, I have a very warped sense of humor. And I pretty much am an equal opportunist when it comes to practical jokes and whatnot with my friends, clients, and family and whatnot. And this year, I had two gifts that were given to me. And, you know, I have to admit, I was mildly concerned when they started, you know, when they came through the door. Because they have obviously been laying and waiting for something. So I brought two of my all-time favorite gifts this year. So the first one, given to me by one of my dear friends, was a Mr. Rogers calendar. Now, I couldn't believe it. I thought, what in the world am I going to do with this? So anyway, so that just means that Mike's going to get a little bit of retribution because, hey, you know, I'm good for it. Now, the next one is, I can't say it online because I don't want to offend anybody. And if I did say it online, you probably wouldn't believe me that it existed. But one of my all-time dear friends also gave me a very interesting gift because I love to cook. Cooking is one of my, I would say, hobbies, along next to fly fishing and whatnot. So he decided that, you know what, we need to give him some culinary items to cook with. So my culinary item to cook with that he gave me, I put that in the center screen there, is this can of fish product. And yes, I don't think anybody would ever believe that this has existed. I have to confess, I'm not sure I really want to open this up. I'm not sure how many would be in there, nor do I'm not sure I really want to know. But anyway, Steve, thank you very much. I think that is absolutely awesome sauce. And yes, it's coming back. All right, so let's get back down to the nut of things, all right? The market, the real estate market, October is doing everything that we would say is going to come out in the numbers because remember, we're always looking in the rearview mirror, okay? So technically, contracts that went under sale, or what we call pending sales, now those are real time. So that's what happened in October, all right? But our closed sales, that's what went under contract at the end of August and in September, which then closes in October. Now that's a little bit different because that's not what happened in October. So we're looking again in the rearview mirror, so our numbers are actually looking pretty good. Now, one other actual metric is going to be actual number of new sale or new listings, new homes, meaning a seller says, yes, I'm going to list my home and put it on the market in October. All right. That is another actual metric because, again, it shows us trend. So with that, let's go through some of these. We're going to compare the Northwest MLS, okay, which is basically from Vancouver all the way down, well, actually the Washington side of it, all the way down Tri-Cities and whatnot, into Chelan, Wenatchee and whatnot. So it's a very large area. And so some of these numbers might seem like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. That's a huge number. Now, for such a vast area, it's actually kind of a small number because our inventory is still quite a bit lower. All right. And again, to add a marginal number to a small number makes it look like a big number, and it's not. So let's keep everything in perspective as we're going through this. So first of all, the Northwest MLS. The number of homes actually for sale month over month, meaning October over September. When we talk about month over month, that's October over September, okay? When we talk about year over year, that's going to be October of 2019 over October 2018, all right? And so when I talk about year over year, October 2019, October 2018, month over month is October 2019 over September 2019. All right, that way we're all on the same page when we talk about numbers. So month over month, we had the actual number of homes for sale went actually down. Not unexpected, right? Because, and we'll get into it a little bit later, because as our interest rates dropped, we saw more activity. Okay, year over year, it looks like a big number, 22.7%. Okay, so it's 1,000 listings or whatever. It's not very much, okay? But in King County, we actually dropped, which was a little bit of a surprise. 26.7% year over year. We have fewer homes for sale, which when we come over here, we only added 8.1%. Okay, so even on the Northwest MLS, we saw the same thing, but not as significant. Only 4.8% year over year change. Pending sales were up, 20% year over year. Okay, so it's not a massive number. It's like 1,500 additional sales. All right. So when we come down to Pierce County, they took our biggest drop, and that was they went down 30.8%. So this is, again, the number of homes that are for sale available today. That number dropped as of November 1, year over year. We dropped 30%. And in Snohomish County, we dropped basically just 23%. Now, when we come over to the actual we just added, we have our one-off here in Snohomish. So Snohomish is the only county that actually added more homes year over year than Pierce County, King County, or the MLS, because all of the other counties dropped. In fact, year over year, the Northwest MLS, as far as new homes, meaning we listed in October on the Northwest Multiple Listing Service, actually went down 4% year over year, 12.6%. Okay, well, not uncommon, right? Okay, so kids are done with getting back in school, everything's leveling out, we're going to be heading into the holidays. People are saying, well, I don't think so. I'm going to hold off. Okay, so totally expected, all right? And we'll continue to see a little bit of that downward trend. In King County, it was down 8.1 and 6.8 in Pierce County. Now, here's technically our end of August, September numbers of what went under contract. So the number of solds from month over month throughout the Northwest MLS actually went up just shy of 2%, okay? It was up 4.8% Northwest MLS wide. More local, we were 10% in King County, which is actually a good number because we've been kind of on a downward trend with King and Pierce County, or with Snohomish County. Here's our one-off. So Pierce County actually went down. And what's interesting about that is Pierce County has been kind of our trendsetter, our leader, almost all year long, except for most recently, because of affordability, because of what you can get, including new construction, which Pierce County is seeing. Like Snohomish, has been seeing a ton of new construction going up and driving a lot of traffic there, and people anticipating the light rail coming online here shortly, making this a easier kind of commuter type of area. But more importantly, you can buy a home for 30% less, than King County. Well, it doesn't take a rocket science to figure that one out, right? But they're dropping. Okay, well, part of that is builder pullback, which is completely understandable. Snohomish, however, they were the ringleader. They were actually up 16.8. That's actually a great number, and a lot of that is new construction. When we talk about pending, again, now pending is what happened in October. So with the pending, Northwest MLS wide, we actually were up 20% year over year. That's it was still a pretty good number, right? 28.4 for King County, 9.7 for Pierce County, and then again 26.7 with Snohomish and King County being the ringleaders. Okay, you might say, okay, George, why is this happening? Okay, well, that's really simple. When we kind of pop over here, we take a look at what we call our rates, right? And you can see that our rates actually dip down. And with the rates dipping down, more buyers are coming into the market because they can afford more. Remember when we had Dan Golden on here and we were saying, okay, when we talk about interest rate, we talk about add-ons, we talk about mortgage insurance, and what is the big picture? What can people do, right? Because they could buy 10% more today than they could January of this year. Okay, well, actually, it's a little bit higher now because our rates have been bobbling around 3.75, 3.875. This is 3 7/8 for simplicity for some of you. And so here, these numbers are awesome. Why? Because they were at 4 3/8 in January, 4.5, depending on the type of mortgage. So you can buy more. You can get a lesser payment. So as that interest rate comes down, the buyer activity is proportionally gone up. Okay, well, that makes perfect sense. As long as it stays that way, we'll stay this very flattening trend all the way through about mid-December, and then it tends to taper off. And then, of course, it picks back up again. I would say about mid-February, late February, we start to see, you know, seller activity increase, buyer activity starts to increase, all right? Now, you might say, George, what are these numbers? Well, this number says that based on the number of sales, that from list price, if list price is 100%, this is my line right here, right? And we're talking about not original list price. So if they've done a price reduction, that's not original list price. It's the list price at the point in which it went under contract was 97% on average. Now, average market time has popped back up again to about 40 days. When we take an average, not the median. Median is a different number. Because it takes into different metrics. To me, it's not as accurate. This is our median price, which is more consistent, all right? And that takes the average of all of the sales in a different category. Our inventory, 1.7 months of inventory today versus last year at this time, we were at 2.3 months. Now, as you also can see, here's our inventory level, right? You can see we were way up here. We were actually at a high of 2.6. That was in September of last year. Now, you might remember, interest rates also went up, okay? Interest rates go up, sales come down, inventory goes up. We drop our interest rate, everything happened proportional because right here, February, this is when we started to see rates come down. And people are saying, yeah, the Fed's dropped the rate, the Fed's dropped the rate. Throw that out. Remember, the Feds have nothing to do with mortgage rates. That is your 10-year treasury and your bonds. Watch your bond market. Watch your 10-year treasury notes. That is what dictates interest rate, okay? Because that's based on risk in the market and international market. But the Fed's effect are if you have a HELOC, if you have a second mortgage, if you have a car loan, if you have credit cards, if you've got a business and you have a business loan, those are affected by the Fed rate. Those are the numbers that you want to pay attention to if you have a little bit of debt and whatnot, because, you know, like a HELOC floats, never fixes, right? So keep that in mind as you are looking at our lower rates. You may want to reconsider a refi, whether it's through Dan or Juliana or Snall, whomever it might be. You want to make sure that, you know, you're tying into that, because if you have one of those HELOCs or a lot of credit card debt, understand it's just a matter of time. Those will go up when the Feds raise their rate, because your payments will be proportional to those. All right. So with that, where are we going to be in the next, I would say, the finishing out of fourth quarter? Where are we going to be at the beginning of 2020? We're going to, again, my prediction, we're going to continue to stay relatively flat. I think, you know, based on everything that's going on, there's nothing catastrophic international and whatnot. There's the media and whatnot is doing what they're doing with the presidency and everything else. So I think that's going to stay consistent. I don't see any change in that. So again, that confidence, because you know the Treasury and the bonds, will stay relatively par with that. And I truly just think that we're going to see these flat rates all the way through the end of the year and into Q1, first quarter of 2020. 2020, I think, is going to be relatively flat. I think potentially, depending on, again, the climate, we could very well see some higher interest rates at the Q3, Q4 of 2020. 2021 being a recovery, meaning that we'll see those first-time home buyers start to come back into the market, so that which will become that 38-42% of the market, which shows that we're in a recovery from our little short recession. It's my humble opinion. Look at your condo sales. Condo sales are way down. That is, again, shifting back to our first-time home buyers, but not in the positive sense, but in the negative sense. Soon as we see that transition, and because condos typically are a very common indicator when we start to pop back out, which then switches over to single family. There you go. That's more than you ever wanted to know, right? Okay, so with that, again, share this with whomever you would like. If you have questions, post it. We get lots of questions. I love them. I love them. If you want to know where you can get some really, there it is. Yep. If you want to get some really cool food for cooking, just let me know. Actually, I'll introduce you to some of my friends who you may not want to be near. You may want to stay away from, I guess, maybe. I don't know. Anyway, reach out, ask questions. Let me know how much you enjoyed this, and if it was informational. I'll have Marie post some of the trends and the charts for you along with May. And in the meantime, you guys have a beautiful day, and I'll talk to you later. Thanks. Bye-bye.